and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe it, although neither of them was present there. While a person was amongst his sheep, a wolf attacked and took one of the sheep. The man chased the wolf till he saved it from the wolf, whereupon the wolf said, "You have saved it from me. But who will guard it on the day of the wild beasts when there will be no shepherd to guard them except me, because of riots and afflictions?" The people said surprisingly, "Glorified be Allah, a wolf speaks." The prophet said, "But I believe this, and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe this, although neither of them was present there." See the footnote of page 10 vol 5, volume 4, book 56 number 678, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle said, "A man bought a piece of and from another man, and the buyer found an earthenware jar filled with gold in the land. The buyer said to the seller, 'Take your gold, as I have bought only the land from you, but I have not bought the gold from you.' The former owner of the land said, 'I have sold you the land with everything in it.' So both of them took their case before a man who asked, 'Do you have children?' One of them said, 'I have a boy.' The other said, 'I have a girl.' The man said, 'Marry the girl to the boy and spend the money on both of them and give the rest of it in charity.' Volume 4, book 56 number 679, narrated by Usama bin Zaid. Allah's apostle said, "Plague was a means of torture sent on a group of Israelis, or on some people before you. So if you hear of it spread in a land, don't approach it. And if a plague should appear in a land where you are present, then don't leave that land in order to run away from it. That is plague." Volume 4, book 56, number 680, narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. I asked Allah's apostle about the plague. He told me that it was a punishment sent by Allah on whom he wished, and Allah made it a source of mercy for the believers. For if one in the time of an epidemic plague stays in his country patiently hoping for Allah's reward and believing that nothing will befall him except what Allah has written for him, he will get the reward of a martyr. Volume 4, book 56, number 681, narrated by Aisha. The people of Quraysh worried about the lady from Bani Makhzum who had committed theft. They asked, "Who will intercede for her with Allah's apostle?" Some said, "No one dare to do so except Usama bin Zaid, the beloved one to Allah's apostle." When Usama spoke about that to Allah's apostle said to him, "Do you try to intercede for somebody in a case connected with Allah's prescribed punishments?" Then he got up and delivered a sermon saying, "What destroyed the nations preceding you, was that if a noble amongst them stole, they would forgive him, and if a poor person amongst them stole, they would inflict Allah's legal punishment on him. By Allah, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, stole, I would cut off her hand." Volume 4, book 56, number 682, narrated by Ibn Masud. I heard a person reciting a Quranic verse in a certain way, and I had heard the Prophet reciting the same verse in a different way. So I took him to the Prophet and informed him of that, but I noticed the sign of disapproval on his face, and then he said, "Both of you are correct, so don't differ, for the nations before you differed, so they were destroyed." Volume 4, book 56, number 683. Narrated by Abdullah. As if I saw the Prophet talking about one of the prophets whose nation had beaten him and caused him to bleed, while he was cleaning the blood off his face and saying, "O Allah, forgive my nation for they have no knowledge." Volume 4, book 56, number 684, narrated by Abu Sa'id. The Prophet said, "Amongst the people preceding your age there was a man whom Allah had given a lot of money. While he was in his deathbed he called his sons and said, 'What type of father have I been to you?' They replied, 'You have been a good father.' He said, 'I have never done a single good deed, so when I die, burn me, crush my body, and scatter the resulting ashes on a windy day.' His sons did accordingly, but Allah gathered his particles and asked him, 'What made you do so?' He replied, 'Fear of you.' So Allah bestowed his mercy upon him, forgave him." Volume 4, book 56, number 685, narrated by Ribi bin Hirash. Uqba said to Hudhaifa, "Won't you narrate to us what you heard from Allah's apostle?" Hudhaifa said, "I heard him saying, 'Death approached a man, and when he had no hope of surviving, he said to his family, "When I die, gather for me much wood, and build a fire, to burn me. When the fire has eaten my flesh and reached my bones, take the bones and grind them and scatter the resulting powder in the sea on a hot or windy day." That was done. But Allah collected his particles and asked him, "Why did you do so?" He replied, "For fear of you." So Allah forgave him. Volume 4, book 56, number 686, narrated by Abdu Malik, as above, saying, "On a windy day." Volume 4, book 56, number 687, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle said, "A man used to give loans to the people and used to say to his servant, 'If the debtor is poor, forgive him so that Allah may forgive us.' So when he met Allah after his death, Allah forgave him." Volume 4, book 56, number 688, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The prophet said, "A man used to do sinful deeds, and when death came to him he said to his sons, 'After my death burn me and then crush me and scatter the powder in the air, for by Allah, if Allah has control over me, he will give me such a punishment as he has never given to anyone else.' When he died, his sons did accordingly. Allah ordered the earth saying, 'Collect what you hold of his particles.' It did so, and behold, there he was, the man standing. Allah asked him, 'What made you do what you did?' He replied, 'O my Lord, I was afraid of you,' so Allah forgave him." Another narrator said, "The man said, 'Fear of you, O Lord.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 689, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar, Allah's apostle, said, "A lady was punished because of a cat which she had imprisoned till it died. She entered the hell fire because of it, for she neither gave it food nor water as she had imprisoned it, nor set it free to eat from the vermin of the earth." Volume 4, Book 56, number 690, narrated by Abu Masud Uqba. The prophet said, "One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, 'If you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 691, narrated by Abu Mas'ud. The prophet said, "One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, 'If you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 692, narrated by Ibn Umar. The prophet said, "While a man was walking, dragging his dress with pride, he was caused to be swallowed by the earth and will go on sinking in it till the day of resurrection." Volume 4, Book 56, number 693, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The prophet said, "We are the last to come, but we will be the foremost on the day of resurrection. Nations were given the book, that is Scripture, before us, and we were given the holy book after them. This, that is Friday, is the day about which they differed. So the next day, that is Saturday, was prescribed for the Jews, and the day after it, that is Sunday, for the Christians. It is incumbent on every Muslim to wash his head and body on a day, that is Friday, at least, in every 7 days." Volume 4, Book 56, number 694, narrated by Sayyid bin al-Musayyab. When Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan came to Medina for the last time, he delivered a sermon before us. He took out a tuft of hair and said, "I never thought that someone other than the Jews would do such a thing, that is use false hair." The Prophet named such a practice, az-zur, that is falsehood, meaning the use of false hair. Volume 4, Book 56, number 695, narrated by Ibn Abbas, regarding the verse, "And we made you into Shu'ub and Kabail," 49.13, that Shu'ub means the big Kabail, that is nations, while the Kabail, that is tribes, means the branch tribes. Volume 4, Book 56, number 696, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Once Allah's apostle was asked, "Who is the most honorable amongst the people?" He said, "The most righteous, that is Allah-fearing, amongst you." They said, "We do not ask you about this." He said, "Then Joseph, the prophet of Allah." Volume 4, Book 56, number 697, narrated by Kulayb bin Wale. I asked Zainab bint Abi Salama, that is daughter of the wife of the prophet, "Tell me about the prophet. Did he belong to the tribe of Mudar?" She replied, "Yes, he belonged to the tribe of Mudar and was from the offspring of An-Nadr bin Kinana." Volume 4, Book 56, number 698, narrated by Kulayb. I was told by the Rabiba, daughter of the wife of the prophet, who I think was Zainab, that the prophet forbade the utensils of wine called ad-duba, al-hantam, al-mukayyar, and al-muzaffat. I said to her, "Tell me as to which tribe the prophet belonged. Was he from the tribe of Mudar?" She replied, "He belonged to the tribe of Mudar and was from the offspring of An-Nadr bin Kinana." Volume 4, Book 56, number 699, narrated by Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle, said, "You see that the people are of different natures. Those who were the best in the pre-Islamic period are also the best in Islam if they comprehend religious knowledge. You see that the best amongst the people in this respect, that is ambition of ruling, are those who hate it most. And you see that the worst among people is the double-faced person, who appears to these with one face and to the others with another face, i.e. a hypocrite." Volume 4, Book 56, number 700, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "The tribe of Quraysh has precedence over the people in this connection, i.e. the right of ruling. The Muslims follow the Muslims amongst them, and the infidels follow the infidels amongst them. People are of different natures. The best amongst them in the pre-Islamic period are the best in Islam provided they comprehend the religious knowledge. You will find that the best amongst the people in this respect, that is of ruling, is he who hates it, that is the idea of ruling, most, till he is given the pledge of allegiance." Volume 4, Book 56, number 701, narrated by Tawus ibn Abbas recited the Quranic verse, "Except to be kind to me for my kinship to you," 42.23. Said bin Jubair said, the verse implies, the kinship of Muhammad. Ibn Abbas said, there was not a single house, that is sub-tribe of Quraysh, but had a kinship to the Prophet, and so the above verse was revealed in this connection, and its interpretation is, O Quraysh, you should keep good relation between me, that is Muhammad, and you. Volume 4, Book 56, number 702, narrated by Abi Masud. The Prophet said, from this side from the east afflictions will appear. Rudeness and lack of mercy are characteristics of the rural Bedouins who are busy with their camels and cows, and pay no attention to religion. Such are the tribes of Rabia and Mudar. Volume 4, Book 56, number 703, narrated by Abu Huraira. I heard Allah's apostle saying, pride and arrogance are characteristics of the rural Bedouins while calmness is found among the owners of sheep. Belief is Yemenite, and wisdom is also Yemenite, that is, the Yemenites are well known for their true belief and wisdom. Abu Abdullah al-Bukhari said, Yemen was called so because it is situated to the right of the Kaaba, and Sham was called so because it is situated to the left of the Kaaba. Volume 4, Book 56, number 704, narrated by Muhammad bin Jubair bin Mutim. That while he was with a delegation from Quraysh to Muawiyah, the latter heard the news that Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As said that there would be a king from the tribe of Qatan. On that Muawiyah became angry, got up and then praised Allah as he deserved and said, now then, I have heard that some men amongst you narrate things which are neither in the holy book, nor have been told by Allah's apostle. Those men are the ignorant amongst you. Beware of such hopes as make the people go astray, for I heard Allah's apostle saying, authority of ruling will remain with Quraysh, and whoever bears hostility to them, Allah will destroy him as long as they abide by the laws of the religion. Volume 4, Book 56, number 705, narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, authority of ruling will remain with Quraysh, even if only 2 of them remained, narrated by Jubair bin Mut'im. Uthman bin Affan went to the Prophet and said, O Allah's apostle, you gave property to Bani al-Muttalib and did not give us, although we and they are of the same degree of relationship to you. The Prophet said, only Bani Hashim and Bani al-Muttalib are one thing, as regards family status. Narrated Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair went with some women of the tribe of Bani Zura to Aisha, who used to treat them nicely because of their relation to Allah's apostle. Volume 4, Book 56, number 707, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, the tribe of Quraysh, the Ansar, the people of the tribe of Julhaina, Muzaina, Aslam, Asha and Gifar, are my disciples and have no protectors except Allah and His apostle. Volume 4, Book 56, number 708, narrated by Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair was the most beloved person to Aisha excluding the Prophet and Abu Bakr, and he, in his turn, was the most devoted to her. Aisha used not to withhold the money given to her by Allah, but she used to spend it in charity. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair said, Aisha should be stopped from doing so. When Aisha heard this, she said protestingly, shall I be stopped from doing so? I vow that I will never talk to Abdullah bin Az-Zubair. On that, Ibn Az-Zubair asked some people from Quraysh and particularly the 2 uncles of Allah's apostle to intercede with her, but she refused to talk to him. Az-Zuriyun, the uncles of the Prophet, including Abdurrahman bin al-Aswad bin Abd Yaguth and al-Miswar bin Makrama said to him, when we ask for the permission to visit her, enter her house along with us without taking her leave. He did accordingly, and she accepted their intercession. He sent her 10 slaves whom she manumitted as an expiation for not keeping her vow. Aisha manumitted more slaves for the same purpose till she manumitted 40 slaves. She said, I wish I had specified what I would have done in case of not fulfilling my vow when I made the vow, so that I might have done it easily. Volume 4, Book 56, number 709, narrated by Anas Uthman called Zaid bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Az-Zubair, Sa'd bin al-As, and Abdurrahman bin al-Harith bin Hisham, and then they wrote the manuscripts of the Holy Quran in the form of book in several copies. Uthman said to the 3 Qurayshi persons, if you differ with Zaid bin Thabit on any point of the Quran, then write it in the language of Quraysh, as the Quran was revealed in their language. So they acted accordingly. Said bin Thabit was an Ansari and not from Quraysh. Volume 4, Book 56, number 710, narrated by Salama Allah's apostle passed by some people from the tribe of Islam practicing archery. He said, O children of Ishmael, throw arrows, for your father was an archer. I am on the side of Bani so-and-so, meaning one of the 2 teams. The other team stopped throwing, whereupon the Prophet said, what has happened to them? They replied, how shall we throw while you are with Bani so-and-so? He said, throw for